Now, is Sunday worship the mark of the beast? Is the mark of the beast going to happen in our lifetime? Is it something that we can even live without? And if you happen to accept the mark of the beast, is it actually possible to remove it? These are just a few of the questions that we're going to be looking at in this video. So please stay tuned, because I think if you continue with us and you watch the full video, you will learn a lot. So if you're new to this channel, let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Jay, and I'm a missionary. I'm originally from California, and I'm a founding member for this YouTube channel. And in this video, I want to address 5 common questions related to the Mark of the Beast prophecy, which is arguably the most important, the most relevant, the most significant prophecy of today's time. For those of you who don't know, you can read about the prophecy for yourself in the book of Revelation, which is the last book in the Bible. Revelation chapter 13 verses 16 to 18 and Revelation chapter 14 verse 9 to 10. So the general gist is that it's a prophecy that predicts that at some point in the end times, people will need some kind of mark in their right hand or in their forehead to buy or sell. And the Bible also tells us that anyone who accepts that mark will receive the unmitigated wrath of God. So it's a pretty significant and almost scary prediction. So the first question I want to look at is Sunday worship the mark of the beast? Is Sunday worship the mark of the beast? That is a position that is held by a lot of Seventh-day Adventists in particular, and they believe that worshiping God on a Sunday as opposed to Saturday is the mark of the beast fulfillment. However, I want to challenge that very, very clearly by just asking you, what is the actual function of the mark? What is the purpose of the mark? If you read the prophecy, verse 16 to 18 of chapter 13, it says that it's used to buy or sell. To buy or sell. So it's a tool of commerce. It's a form of money, essentially. And so worshiping God on Sunday as opposed to Saturday, that has nothing to do with the mark of the beast. So just to make it very clear, is Sunday worship the mark of the beast? No. All right, so question number 2, when will the mark come? When will the mark of the beast come and be implemented? The answer I want to put forward to you for that is anytime now, anytime now. So we now have the technology in place for that prophecy to actually be realized in our lifetime, in particular due to advancements in RFID, human microchipping technology. I think there's something like over 4,000 people in Sweden alone who have already volunteered to become implanted with embeddable microchips in their hands, in their bodies, which they use to open doors, which they use to board trains, and also which they use to even buy things, okay? And so it's only a matter of time before that technology takes off, and it takes off kind of like Facebook or, you know, the smartphone craze, where everyone starts getting chipped. And eventually, all the government needs to do is to say that cash, as we now know it, is obsolete, and make that kind of biometric technology, for example, the only way to buy or sell. Because of humanity's great dependence on money, you can almost believe that 99% of the population will buy into that because they feel they can't live without the money, right? And so we definitely have the potential for the prophecy to be realized anytime now. The best thing you can do if you're watching this video is to start learning how to live without it. Question number 3, can you remove the mark of the beast if you accept it? So let's say you happen to accept the mark of the beast at some point in the future and you later come to regret it. Is it actually possible for you to remove it? My answer to that question is, I'm not sure, but why would you want to take the chance? Why would you want to, you know, get as close to the fire instead of staying as far away as possible? And I've heard theories. For example, Jesus said something that's quite shocking in the Gospels. He says that it's better for someone to enter into life lame or blind or mute or even missing a foot, rather than to go into hell with their full body. And so the implication seemed to be that if your eye is causing you to sin, then chop it off, or if your hand is causing you to sin, chop it off. Well, if a microchip implant, if the mark of the beast in your hand is causing you to receive the wrath of God, then the obvious suggestion along those lines is to chop off your hand. And while I do think that that could be a possible way to escape or to repent of taking the mark if someone does take it, why would you want to gamble upon that kind of possibility, which is not even clear from the Bible itself? It's theorized, or it's implied, maybe you could say that much, but it's not very clear that if you take the mark, you can later remove it. So why even get that close to the fire? Rather, why not have the resolve and the commitment and the dedication to say, no matter what, at all costs, I will not take the mark, even if it means death itself. And when we have that sort of resolve, I think we have the necessary character and commitment to actually follow through with it. Don't play around with something that's so life-changing. All right, question number 4. What is the relation between the mark of the beast and the number 666? And that is a very good question. You know, there's a lot of superstition around the number. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. People want to attribute it to Barack Obama or Donald Trump or so many other significant human leaders in past times. And so there's often a lot of guessing games that go along with the number. However, from a scriptural standpoint, it's quite significant in that it's only that number 666 is only mentioned really in context in one other place in the entire Bible, and that's in 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 14, and it relates to the number of talents of gold that King Solomon, the wealthiest king in the entire Bible, according to the Bible, in fact in all Old Testament history, he was the wealthiest, not just the wisest but the wealthiest. So he received 666 talents of gold from the Queen of Sheba in a year. So that represented money, right, at the time of the Old Testament. Now, what's significant is that in the passage in the Gospels where Jesus gives the ultimate solution to how to live without the mark, which is to trust God for our food, clothes, and basic needs. So in Matthew chapter 6, right before Jesus tells us to consider the flowers or consider the birds, in the context, in fact, of the flowers, he mentions Solomon, and he says that even King Solomon, with all his wealth, he was not clothed like one of the lilies of the field, right? And so, again, he's referencing Solomon. In another place in the Gospels, he says that, you know, the Queen of Sheba traveled such a long distance to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and yet one even greater than Solomon is here, and that greater person is Jesus himself. And so I say all that to say that the number 666, what it really seems to represent is none other than an indication of the ultimate test of our loyalties between God and money. Because according to Jesus, we can't work for both God and money at the same time. And that's quite a challenge. So many professing Christians, they claim to love God and to serve God with their whole heart. And maybe they do on Sunday, or maybe they do on Saturday. But if for the other 6 days, for the majority of your time, for the majority of your focus, for the majority of your energy, if you're running after serving mammon, right? If you're still in that system of working for money and material things, how are you going to say that you're truly serving God? And that's such a significant concept. So anyway, to wrap up this question, to answer it, the number 666, it relates to our own, I guess you could say, idolatrous attitude toward money, and it highlights the distinction between the wisdom of, say, King Solomon and his wealth gospel versus the wisdom of Christ and his gospel of poverty, humility, sincerity, forsaking all, and being truly free. And that is the gospel. That is the ultimate way to survive without the mark. All right, and now for our last question. How do you live without the mark of the beast? How do you survive without it? First of all, I want to just give reference to a video that we did earlier on this channel. It features a guy named Daniel Swellow who survived for over 15 years in America without using any money. He used no money, and he showed that it's possible to live even in America without using money. Hopefully there'll be a link to that somewhere on the screen, wherever it might be. But I point that out because the ultimate way to learn to live without the mark is to learn to live without money. You know, that's ultimately what the mark represents. So again, going back to what we said near the start of this video, the function, the actual purpose of the mark of the beast, its use is for buying and selling. And so if you are willing to step outside of that whole system of buying and selling, then you have the ultimate solution to live without the mark. It's going to take faith. You're going to have to trust in an invisible God to provide for your needs, okay? Because otherwise, there's no way you would survive, right? We all need food. We all need clothes in order to live. But guess what? If you read Matthew 6, if you read verse 24 to the end, and you read about him saying the flowers don't work for jobs, they don't have contracts, they don't have wages. The birds, they don't have wages, they don't have contracts, they don't work for money, and yet God still provides for their needs. If you really believe that, if you really believe Jesus when he's saying that, then you can also walk in that. You can trust in God for your provision, and in doing so, you can say, hey, I don't even need money. because I have someone that's greater than all the money in the world. You know, God made man. Man made money, and money has made man crazy, okay? So what we need to do if we really want to live without the mark is we need to put our trust in God and be able to say that I'm more willing to live by faith in Him than in any money in the world, anything material, because I know that my Creator will meet my needs. And when we have that sort of faith, we have what we need to survive without the mark of the beast. So guys, that's it. Those are 5 key questions related to the Mark of the Beast prophecy. You may not agree with everything that we've shared in this video. If you don't, do let us know. I would love to hear your perspective, especially if you have reasons for why you feel the way you do. But if you do agree with the video and you do feel like you got something from it, then I want to encourage you to please give it a like, please give it a thumbs up, please share it with as many people as possible. It's not about any one person, one personality, any one group being promoted. It's about this message, this gospel message of the kingdom being promoted. And so that has to transcend any organization or group. And I say that in a sense of, I'm not so much really trying to get you to lift up It's Inside You as an organization or anything like that, but I do want to see this message published far and wide, and it's through as many different voices as possible. Because the truth is, while someone may respond to what I'm saying, another person may hear my voice and be turned off by it. But that's okay. As many people as we can get saying the same true core message of Jesus, the more likely it is that others will receive it and be able to apply it in their lives. So I say that to encourage you to please share the videos as you feel led and help us to reach more people with this message. So thank you for watching it, and God bless you. Keep seeking the kingdom.